Good day everyone. So for this video, we will discuss how to add texture or material to your objects in Blender. So here we have the default cube, but let's delete that and replace that. Now our goal for this video is to teach you guys how to add texture materials to your objects. For now, we will use a simple cube to represent the object that you will be putting your texture in. First and foremost, we have to go to the materials panel or materials property panel. Here in the red icon, we can see material properties. So click on that and let's click on new to add a new material. You have to do this every time you add a new material. This is so that you can assign this material to different objects as well. So here we have material.001. I recommend that you will name the materials that you will add. In this case, let's just name this cube texture. Now, nothing really changed here, aside from the fact that we haven't added anything yet here in the materials panel. We haven't changed anything. We are in the viewport shading, rather solid viewport shading perspective. So let's go to the material preview, or this third circle here. Any changes that we add here will be reflected on our cube, or rather we can see it reflected on our cube. So let's change the base color. This is one of the few things that you want to know, especially if you're making something that just has like a simple color. So yeah, let's say we want it. Let's have this color. We can have it lighter, we can have it darker. So in this case, let's have it this light, light blue. Yeah, let's have it at this. So that's a very bright color, but that's fine. Next is the metallic property. How metallic your object would look like. In this case, in the materials preview viewport, what we see is the object getting darker. But if we go to our rendered viewport shading, click Z, click rendered. Let's move our light a little bit closer. Yeah, let's say there. If we increase the metallic so yeah, you can see that increasing and decreasing the value sa metallic properties ng object natin affects how well the light bounces off of it. Let's change the power to 250, 150. Yeah. So you have a smaller source. So, yan. So we can see light, or the way light bounces off the object is dependent on its material. If we increase or decrease the metallic property, sorry. Yan. So next is roughness, how well rough or smooth an object is. So let's have the metallic value to 0. Let's change the roughness to 1. Okay, not really much. Let's add a little bit of the metallic property. Okay, there it is. So if the roughness is 0, it means that the object is very smooth. If the roughness is nearing 1, it means that there are, well, textures. So yan, you can play around with this to manipulate the texture of your object. Let's add a new mesh here. Let's add a cylinder. Practice, we have a rounded edge or a rounded face. So now what we are going to do is we will add the texture or the material on our cube onto our cylinder. Now what we can do is just click on this button here and look for the cube texture in the list. Now, as there are two materials available, the default and the cube, we can easily select the cube texture. And all of the properties that we have set for the cube is now applied in the cylinder. If we change the metallic value here, as you can see, even the value in the cube is, or rather, even the material on the cube is affected. And it's because we are manipulating the material itself, not the polygon. Ayan. Now, all of these have their own purposes. Now, we can discuss more about these other features of material properties later, or depende if mag-arise na you will end up needing to use some of these qualities. So one of the things that I can highlight now is this one, emissions. So for example, let's make a very easy bulb. I guess in this case, the easiest bulb that we can make is the fluorescent one. So let's just add cylinder, move it up here. Let's rotate it, let's say 90 degrees. Yan. Scale this down. Yan. And scale that. Then since usually fluorescent bulbs, dalawa yan sila, let's add a second one. I don't know, I might need to look up what a fluorescent bulb looks like. But yeah, if you really want to add more detail, let's add a cube, move it up, scale it down. Yeah. Kasi di ba parang may ganyan-ganyan pa yung mga fluorescent bulbs. Now let's add edge loops. Let's add two there. Let's scale them to be right there at the edge. Let's select their faces. Not that one, and that one. Ay, wrong yung napindot ko. Yan. Let's extrude it. Something like that. Yan. Anyhow, so yan. A very simple fluorescent bulb. Now let's go to our materials. Material preview shader. So this is what they look like. They have no material. So let's add something. So first, ito, material. Let's click on this. Let's add this. Let's add a new material. So as you can see, naging material 001. Yan talaga ang name niya. Kasi yung material na material lang talaga, that's the default rather, material we see. I don't remember what's this called. Let's say light holder. I'm sorry, you can correct me on what this is actually called anyhow. So yeah, let's name this one light bulb. This one is the same, so let's just pick light bulb here. Okay, so light holder. Let's change this. Let's do something with this. Usually the color is a dark gray color, so let's go with that. Now, as you can see, we're in the materials preview, so the light doesn't really matter in this case. Here, this is our light bulb, base color white, that's fine. Roughness, it's not really. Maybe let's add a little bit. Metallic, is it metallic? No, but it does. Medyo kuti siya sa way na mag-reflect ng light kasi nasa loob naman din yung light. Yan. So let's go here. Now, it would not make sense for light to be there. Let's just remove that. Now you can change the emission in this one. Now the thing is though, it doesn't really reflect light. Like hindi magbabounce because it does not register as an actual light source. You can continue to change even in the value of 5, it's a very bright thing. Yeah, let's try the strength of 2. So yeah. That's one way to make it seem like your object is glowing. You can also change the coat here, transmission, specular, subsurface. But in this case, if you want to make, let's say, ito parang light bulb, you can't do it with material alone. You still need to add light. Kasi even if we will move them down, it won't exactly bring light to our objects here. But it is one way of giving your light sources a little bit of character. Hindi mag-bounce off yung light sa mga light bulbs ninyo. What we can do here, because they have to be emulating light, we can add point light or even an area light. Let's move our area light a bit up. Let's go to our orthographic view. Yan. We can scale this. Nagano siya. It's fine. We can work with that. So, yan. Na-change ko. Ay, na-change ko. Okay, medyo na-hide siya. Hindi ko nakita. Okay. So let's move our light a little bit inside. So yan. Now, if we move it down, yan, may nag-reflect na. Now, here's the issue though. Yung light source natin, nagbangga-bangga siya sa iyahang kaning gibuhat nato na light holder rather. So we can just adjust it a little bit. Yan. It's just to simulate light within your environment. We can also further, let's say, we can decrease the power. Just same with every other light bulb. So yan. Now we've made a quick light bulb. So that's one way of adding textures. It's really to enhance the character of your model. So that's just a very simple one. Now let's add textures using existing images. So let's just delete this. Let's move this aside. Now I want to make this, or let's give this a little bit texture. I don't want this cube texture. So what we can do is just unlink. And yan, we can either pick from these existing ones or let's create a new one. So yan. Now, before we do anything, let's go to our edit, click on preferences, and check this one, Node Wrangler. This will help you in setting up your nodes. So let's just save that to be safe. Yan. Now let's go here, shading panel, and you will see this one. To look around your nodes, you can hold down the middle mouse button as you would here to look around. Same then, yan. Now, as discussed, if these sockets, if ever you're going to connect them, make sure to connect it to similar colors. So this is yellow, connected to something yellow. But in this case, we have nothing to connect it with, so that's fine. Now, what you can do, you can add an image mismo here. You can also drag and drop. So in this case, let's go to this folder here. So I already have a few textures downloaded. I downloaded them off here, Polyhaven and textures. So and there's a lot of this that you can play around with. Actually, let's get one right now. Let's, I guess let's pick wood. Let's pick something that would stand out a little bit. Yan, ito, bark willow. So this is what you would see when you're downloading textures, the texture itself, the displacements, normals, and everything. Let's just download that. So you can go, you can select 1K. In my case, I'll just go with 2K, and let's download it. Okay, so I've now added the texture. in my folder. Let's click this one, textures, and let's look for this one. The one with the texture mismo. You can also do this if you want to, if you want the black and white perspective of it, but won't really show you anything. So let's disconnect these nodes by holding down Control and right-clicking to cut. Now we can click on this node and click delete to remove it. Let's go back to our folder. Let's click on this one. Now remember the rule. This is a yellow socket. Let's connect it to a yellow socket. And now we have texture. Yan. I understand it might not be, it might be a bit wonky. Actually, we should have moved it to a cylinder because you know, at least it looks a little bit like a tree. But in this case, let's just work with this one. We'll move it there soon. So here we have, let's just move this up a little bit so that you can see. So there are different options and customizations that you can do. Usually I just leave it there. And yan. Now what if you don't like the way this is wrapped around our cube? This is where we will now handle the UV editing. When handling UV editing, try to think of it as dismantling your shape. You know those things we usually find in comic books? We cut them up, and then when we fold them together, we create like a box or robot or what. So that is the logic behind UV editing. So let's go to render view. No, rather, let's go to material preview. Yan, para makita natin. So here, we have to click on our object and then go to edit mode. In this case, our UV map will highlight the face that we have selected. To select all of the faces to see the entire UV mapping, just click on A to select everything. So, yan. So we know this is the center, so we can help use this as reference. Now, once we're editing here, we can select all of them by just clicking A as well. We can move this. So as you can see, any changes we do on our UV map, we change it on our shape mismo. We can do that. Or we can, sorry, misclick. We can do that. We can also rotate it. And we can also scale it. So yeah, let's say you want your textures to be a little bit like smaller, like not this one, you think it's a bit too close, like that. Now you've mapped it out. Let's give it, let's give it a new material. Okay, punta tayo shading. Right now, we're looking at our cylinder. Let's look at our textures here. What do we have here? I have, actually the bark willow would really work. Now let's give it the bark willow again. Sorry, wrong. Yeah, let's give it the bark willow. So again, assign the color. So again, now due to the roughness of our model, we can see the cylinder or the lines from the cylinder. But so far, it does look fine. Yeah, I'm fine with this. But as you can see, medyo weird ito. Ganito yung parang flow ng bark. Pagpunta natin dito, naging other direction siya. Actually, let's just add plane here para at least there's something for them to be on. Let's move our cube a little bit up there. Yan. Medyo hayag kayong plane. We can also add textures to our plane. Let's just give it the material. Let's put their floor. And I actually have something here. Forest ground, texture, ito. Okay, so let's add. And let's actually start from there. So we've given our cubes with with textures something to be on top of. We can change this, we can adjust this, we can make this metallic, we can increase how rough it is. So as you can see, if naka-zero yung roughness, it's very smooth. It's reflecting the light of the environment dito. Yung parang set in na HDRI sa Blender. Parang siyang, like, basta naulanan. If you increase the roughness, yan, hindi na kayo siya reflect back sa light. So let's increase the roughness kasi it's a forest floor. Same din here. Let's increase the roughness. It just makes sense because it's wood. It doesn't really reflect that much. So yan. Now we do see that there are rocks and grass and sticks and other textures given by the image. We can add what is called a displacement. A displacement is one way for your flat image to still have depth without actually adding more meshes or surfaces to it. What you would do is look for, actually, there is displacement, and actually, let's just discuss normals for now. Look for this one, NOR, or the normal. Let's put that down there. Now, you can't just connect this to anywhere because it's connected to color, and we already have something connected to color. You can click it there, but it would not look as nice. So let's just reconnect our initial image back there. What you would do is, let's add a node. It would be under vector, and it would be under normal map. Let's click it there, and look, we have a socket for normal. So let's click it there. Let's put this color socket into this color socket. And now, if we increase the strength, so yan, parang nabigyan ng shadows yung ano natin, yung ground natin, even though it's a flat plane. If we were to disconnect this, yan. So that is one way of adding depth. We can also do that here with our cylinder. Let me just put this at the center. Yan. So let's do what we did earlier. Add vector, normal map. Let's put it down. This was the willow texture, so let's look for our bark willow. So normal. It's an EXR file. Let's connect this. Ay, misclick, sorry. Connect that. Connect that. So this is where you should start to learn how to arrange your nodes. So yan. Medyo may grit na yung wood natin. If we increase the strength, yan, very gritty na kayo. This is what it looked like before we added anything. Now, even the trick here now is to balance it. Kasi, like, if we look at this, it's too OA. It's too much. Let's, actually, yeah, even something 1.5 already works. It shows the roughness of the image or the roughness of the texture, but it doesn't look like parang ganyan. And it looks like an indie horror game texture with this like slender 8 pages. So yan. Same here. We can do the same thing here. We can recreate everything that we just did here, or we can change the material. So let's click on our material there, and let's just click on cylinder. So yan, everything in this node map is reapplied on this surface. So yan, we can also do something here, like let's add a wall. Let's add a cube, move that cube aside, scale it a bit, scale it a bit, and scale it a bit. Yan. Kunay ko na lang sa daan eh. Let me just put it. Now, I want to wrap a wall around these 3 areas or 3 sides. To make it simple, or not really, depends on you. what we can do is just extrude this a bit. So our walls are just one mesh. So let's assign a new material. So we can do the material assignment here, or we can do it here since we are already in the shadings tab. Let's click on the new material. It's named material 2 because we already have something named material 1, which was the cube. We forgot to name that one. So here, material 2, let's name it wall. Medyo yung mga nodes natin. Let's zoom in a bit. Yan. We can change it here if we want to. Like, okay, trip mo yan. Why not? Go ahead. Let's increase the roughness. Kumaga. But there's really not much going on. We can add textures. Yan, talaga, pambato natin. I believe I have bricks. Okay. So let's drag this down. Let's connect it. And as you can see, the UV does not, or rather is not working the way that we expected it to be. But that's fine. This is where the UV editing comes to help us. But yan, the other sides managed to get fixed. I think there was an error with the way I extruded this na naging ganito. But I will upload a different video to fix on this or to show you guys how to fix this. But yan. So ignoring the very warped brick surface there, let's just go back to our shading viewport or shading tab. We can also add normals here. Let's just look at the back so that we don't have to see that. So medieval brick. Let's add in vector, normal map. Click that one. Red brick. There it is. Yan. Color, normal, and yan. Medyo may def na agad. If you will disconnect that, see the difference. So, yan. That's one way to add like these subtle textures. Oh no, ano pala ito din. But yeah, we'll fix this in future discussions, especially when it comes to refitting your textures. But these are the basics in adding your texture. Actually, let's look at this from the rendered viewport. So, wala talaga tayong makikita kasi wala tayong lights. And honestly, medyo funny itong wall na ito. Pero sige na lang. Let's add a spotlight. Why not? Yan. Medyo weak yung watts niya. Let's do it 150. Wala pa rin. 300. Medyo faint. Gusto niya talaga 1,000. Okay. Yan. We can make this a little bit subtle. We can rotate this a bit. Yan. We can also add ito, the sun. Medyo bright yung sun natin. Let's just move it a little bit. Let's adjust strength. Let's give it like a light blue color. Kunuhay na gabi eh. Ana. Actually, with our light, let's add a little yellow. Let's make it a bit brighter. Yan. So, yan. Para siyang, that's one way to make a scene. You know, the weird brick wall is very distracting. So let's look at that. Yan. Let's just move it a little bit on the ground. Nakita natin yung shadow niya. May mga implied textures tayo and everything. So that is all for our lesson in textures. A basic introduction lang on how to add textures to your models. I really recommend once you add a new texture, you name it kasi of course, once you start adding more things, magkadaghan yung mga listas in materials and suddenly you don't know which is which. I recommend Polyhaven for textures, but you can also add pictures as textures rather. There are other websites. I believe Ma'am Sydney has listed down a few of them in your lecture PowerPoint. And yes, so I will make updates to the A4 apartment activity in Blackboard. Now you will be required to add lighting and texture to the apartment that you have made. The deadline would be extended, of course. And good luck, guys. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to message me in Teams. So that would be all. Thank you, everyone.